Palace 0, Arsenal 2. It's a good thing too. It's a good thing we were able to hold out and get the job done towards the end of the game. Um, it was a game of being outpossessed. Palace outpossessed us, which is a testament to Vieira's sort of playing style and the way he wants Palace to play now. But that doesn't necessarily look good for us. We are known as a possession-based team, and there were times where we were being sort of passed around, for long periods of times. Um, but in the end, we, Arsenal, were able to capitalize on our chances, take our chances, and that's what happened in the end. I want to name a standout player for this match, in my opinion, between the two teams. Um, for me, it's Saliba. Saliba was terrific today, and honestly, it's like he's basically like a new signing. He's fast, he's strong, he's smart, tactically aware. Sort of cleans up when sort of players are out of position, things of that nature. Like he's just there. He was just there. When Zaha tried to take on Party down the line, Party made a slide tackle with a ridiculous foul called for it. And who was there? Saliba, and he mopped it up. And as the match went on, like I just had more confidence that no one was going to get through. Saliba is going to be there. And he sort of compliments Gabriel, doesn't he? Because Gabriel's not the fastest defender, but having someone like a Saliba who is athletic, he's kind of like a Kimpembe or like a Fofana at Leicester, and so that was really amazing to see. Saliba stood out for me. If I were to give another player that sort of stood out, Zinchenko, sort of coming into this team, the pressures of being, for the first match and everything. Not that he can't handle that pressure, but coming into the team, sort of sliding in seamlessly. It seemed like, he had a very decent time out there. It wasn't outstanding, but I think he did well enough for the job that he had. And so I'm going to give those two players standout, but especially Saliba gets the special standout because he was immense. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, it's just so good to see. And we've needed someone like him for years. Years, I tell you, like, um, you know, so don't want to get ahead of myself, but let's get into it. So you know, um, so we had a first half goal by Martinelli. It was a corner kick in. I forgot who took the corner. Um, but it looked like it was sort of a planned corner kick as well because Zinchenko was unmarked way at the far post, and he was able to header it back in, sort of, and then it just kind of landed to Martinelli. And Martinelli he was there. He headed it in, and it's just the most is relief. That is absolute relief to see that. First goal of the Premier League, first goal for Arsenal of the campaign. For Martinelli, I'm happy for him. He did his job, and that's what we needed at the time. And we needed to get that sort of early goal to um, you know, cement our presence at Selhurst Park to really go and get more. But after that, we seem to kind of dip off possession wise. But I'll jump to the other goal. So before we get into a dive of how the match went as overall. So the second goal was funny enough when Gabriel Jesus came off and Nketiah sort of gave a different dynamic up top, which I thought Nketiah did, pretty decent for the minutes that he actually got coming onto the pitch. So the ball is sprayed out to Saka. I can't remember who gave him the ball. I think it was Nketiah actually. So Nketiah gives Saka the ball, and Saka, as we all know, continuously, driving at the left back. Mitchell, who that was a really good matchup between the two of them today. Really, really good matchup because Mitchell was very athletic and very adept. Like he knows what he's doing over there. Wasaka was able to sort of just, beat him a couple inches to the right, and then he hits the ball, sort of trying to, whip it across goal, and it hits Gehi in the head, and it's an own goal by Gehi. So, I mean, man, I'm watching this match and I'm just like, I'm just holding my breath because it was wave after wave in terms of like Palace having a ball, and at any moment, which they did have moments, Palace, any moment they could just score. And it would just be the typical same old Arsenal. But we were able to, and that's a testament to our depth, isn't it? Being able to bring on Nketiah, being able to bring on Sambi, being able to bring on players that can sort of change the dynamic a little bit. And then that's all we needed, and just a little bit of a change. And Nketiah, with his hard work over the summer, comes in, does his thing, passes to Saka, own goal, Gehi, that's it. It's wraps. And by that time, it's done. So one thing I will say is it's good to see the Arsenal fans bigging up Patrick Vieira. They were sort of chanting his name, knowing that he's pretty much embedded in Arsenal folklore, isn't he? He's an absolute hero and legend of the club in that respect. Is still kept there, which is great to see. So, how did the match go overall? Um, Man, what I'll say is that we're gonna need better performances than that. We're gonna need better performances because other teams will pick us off. The possession that um, Palace were able to enjoy and have. Your teams like Leicester, teams like Man City, Liverpool, like they're gonna have better attacking players to be able to absolutely exploit the heck out of us. Absolutely. And so I'm concerned about that. I did mention in my previous video that Palace would come. They would come with a possession kind of style of play, and so would we. And I actually said that we would probably outpossess them, but it turns out that Vieira really is just honing in on this possession-based style of play. You saw Zaha sort of relax. He'll pass the ball back. He's not afraid. Like players aren't afraid to just play the ball back to the centre backs and kind of sort of rotate the pitch again. And we but credit to Arsenal though. We were able to sort of eat up that pressure. We went with the flow. The ball goes left, we go left. The ball goes right, we go right. And, we were sort of able to pick up players in certain areas. I thought defensively we did okay. I think we did actually pretty decent, to be honest. Arsenal of recent years would have sort of capitulated under the pressure. Even last year, the last match that we played against Palace, we lost. So this match was different. You know, you could also argue that Palace they didn't have a sort of dynamic midfielder like Gallagher. So but it is what it is. They have the team that they have. We have the team that we have. Um, and so first half, after the first goal, we kind of dipped off. We kind of just let them play, and I was a bit concerned with that. There were a couple scares. There's probably two scary moments in the match. I would say the header from Hudson Edouard in the first half, which Ramsdale made some really good saves actually. Actually, we got to shout him out too. We got to shout him out. Forgot about that. Ramsdale was immense today, apart from some stutters with his feet. But he was immense. Made a really good sort of reaction save to Hudson Edouard. And then we had a moment in the second half where Zaha played a very clever ball in between, I believe it was a right back and a centre back. And Eze timed his run very good, very well. And Eze just did not open up his hips. I honestly thought he might score. I honestly thought that. But he did not, thank goodness. It was a poor finish, honestly. Ramsdale sort of held his ground and sort of tried to defend both near post and far post, but Eze ended up just sort of hitting it in the middle of Ramsdale with his stomach. And so he was able to save that, and credit to Ramsdale. Credit to Ramsdale, for all that hard work he's been doing. I mean, putting in pre-season, and he's just preparing himself for those moments ultimately. So, Palace were able to pull off 479 passes to our 352 passes. So that's a whole hundred and something or other passes than us. So, um, you know, I don't want to look too deep into it, but I just feel like other teams are going to be able to exploit, that sort of the possession that they're going to have. It's not going to be a cakewalk for us. And there were times in the match where I thought, okay, like, we're hanging on. But what I will say is that the good thing is that we did hang on, and that we did sort of we pressed on, we absorbed the pressure, and then we we applied our own pressure, which is what we ultimately did. So I want to get into player reviews. I want to get into some player reviews. We're gonna start with Arsenal. We're gonna start with Ramsdale. I thought he did his job pretty competently. He made some key saves, like we all know that he can do. And some very very good saves too. That really we really had to call upon him, and he did. I think he did his job very decently. I'm gonna give him a 7. I'm gonna give him a 7 just because a couple stuttering moments. A couple of long balls that he just sort of played out bounds, and then the one where he kind of got caught on his feet. Like, I don't want to see any of those moments. From our goalie, from our number one. He needs to just get rid of the ball no matter what. And stop trying to be cute. And it's I appreciate you trying to be play in possession, but when you need to get it out, get it out. So we're gonna go to Zinchenko. So Ramsdale gets a 7. So we're gonna go to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, I thought was very competent. I thought he was very competent on the ball. I thought he made some very smart and sort of intuitive passes. That it's just nice to see Zinchenko or that kind of player do those things. Because, obviously, being under the tutelage of Pep Guardiola, so he's gonna see things differently on the pitch, and you could see that sometimes he'll go direct to Gabriel Jesus. Sometimes he'll try and slot or force in a pass into certain players, and it was just he's sort of working within the tight spaces. Zinchenko didn't do anything amazing, got taken out. I forgot what minute, the 83rd minute. I'm gonna give him. He was very competent, wasn't he? Yeah, he deserves some. I'm gonna give him a 7 also. I'm gonna give him a 7. I think he deserves that. Gabriel, sort of out there doing the same thing, doing the Lord's work out there. He did his job pretty well. Actually, he won a lot of headers, sort of in the box for corners, just sort of clearances. So he did his job competently, I would say. Honestly, I'm going to give him a 7 because I do believe that he was very solid back there. Saliba, Saliba was outstanding. For me, he was just outstanding, man. I mean, having someone like that in the back is invaluable. You don't always find these kinds of centre backs. I don't want to hype him up too much, but I'm going to give him an 8. I'm going to give him an 8. I really do think he was outstanding today. And all the accolades should go towards him. He has cemented his place as a centre back, a starting centre back in our place. Watch out for Ben White now. You know what I mean? So Ben White. Yeah, you could see he was a bit afraid out there, didn't you? He's out of sorts, right? Playing right back, having to deal with someone like Zaha on you all match, even Tyreek Mitchell. But Zaha and Ben White had that battle all match, and eventually Zaha was able to get a yellow card out of Ben White. Ben White sort of just went into him, and like I said, you could just tell he's out of sorts on the right side. He did what he could, didn't he? And I think when Ben White's gonna have to worry about his spot. He's gonna have to worry about his spot. He's not fast. He's not fast, and he's not a center back. He's not a right back. You know what I mean? So there was times where he tried to sort of take a touch inside and sort of run around a player. So it's not. It's not his fault. It's just Saliba has just fit in so well. So it's going to be It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Ben White for me, because he was all right, wasn't he? I'm gonna give him a 6. I thought it was a bit up and down with him this match. A 7 would be like solid, like very sort of, mistakes were very few, and with him, you just getting tight to Zaha and sort of some choices in the attack, just didn't really make sense coming from him. But is it particularly his fault? It's just sort of it's the result of just good players being in the team, isn't it? So 7 for White. Xhaka. Do you know what? Xhaka was actually okay. As much as I don't really like Xhaka, um, I just think he's very unathletic. But you know what? This match, I gotta big him up a little bit. I have to. And honestly, I'm gonna give him a 7. I'm gonna give him a 7 because he was he was trying. He was actually getting up in attacking positions, trying to actually support Gabriel Jesus and be an option. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Because what are you gonna do up there? And there was actually a moment where he was pretty high up, and he tried to take a touch and get around. I believe it was Anderson, and and he took a dive, And it's just like, where did you expect to think you were going? You know, so, but I'll give him a seven because he actually was in good places where he should have been. You know, especially on sort of counter attacks or where Palace had the ball higher up the pitch. Like he was there, they would have cleared it up. He was sort of even tracking back way deep into our defense, and getting the ball under control and getting it out. So I'm gonna give him a seven. So I appreciate that at the very least. Partey quietly did his job, didn't he? He didn't do anything special particularly. You know, he was there when he needed to be. I'm gonna give him a six. He did his job, didn't he? You know, he wasn't anything special. Not anything special to give him a seven. I don't really have any moments in my head where he was, sort of outstanding. Um, so just kept possession, didn't he? Did his thing. Odegaard. Odegaard had a chance to shoot with his right foot, or possibly manipulate the ball to be able to do something in the box. There was a moment where he probably should have scored, or at least got a shot off. I believe it was in the second half. Yeah, second half. Really, really good opportunity, and sort of his creative and assist mind wanted to lay it off to Martinelli, which it almost he almost pulled it off. It was actually a really good last ditch tackle by Schlupp. So aside from that, again, Odegaard didn't do anything special during the match. Um, he didn't do anything special, but he was able to link up play with one-touch passes, which is a very underrated trait. Odegaard is an incredible player, and I think he went about and did his job, didn't he? Quietly. Um, I'll just give him a six. Honestly, for me, six is standard. Six is standard, and that's what he did. Bukayo Saka was is one of them where it was a bit of a quiet game for him too. Was decent in, well, he was good. He kept possession. He was good in tight spaces. Um, but like there was nothing special again for him. But because he did drive on, played full 90, drove on to get that second goal for the own goal. I'm gonna give him a seven. I'm gonna give him a seven because he stuck with it. He stuck with it. He had the energy, he had the drive, determination to keep pushing forward. And this, is sort of that is who he is. That's his character, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna give him a seven. Martinelli. Martinelli, you know, I'm trying to think if I should give him a seven or eight. I mean, again, he's one of them that didn't do anything special during the match, but he did score. He was in the right position at the right time, played a full 90. Big him up once again for finishing a full 90 and not being injured. He was quick in tight spaces, and he did what he needed to do, wasn't he? Didn't he? He did what he needed to do. I'm gonna give him an eight. I'm gonna give him an eight because I do like what I saw when he was in possession, and actually, yeah, an eight is warranted because he held up the ball very well, multiple occasions, maybe 4 or 5 times, sort of on the left side, holding up his defender, having very good touches in certain places. Yeah, Martinelli deserves an eight. Martinelli deserves an eight because he was very solid, not solid, very solid today. And he scored the goal. He scored the opening goal for Arsenal. He was there, positioned well. Big him up. Gabriel Jesus, the last player. Gabriel Jesus. Well, he huffed and puffed, didn't he? He huffed and puffed. He had some moments. He had some moments where it's like, okay, he's given us a different dynamic. He would make sort of he would make runs that we've been missing in a forward. He's such a dynamic forward where you can play him in tight positions and he'll hold it up or he'll sort of swivel, and allow other players to come into the box or support him in ways that we haven't really been able to in previous years. But it was a difficult day for him. It was a difficult day. I don't think he was even able to get any shots off a goal. There was one shot where he took a left-footed shot, but it went way off goal. I thought it was a corner, but it was just a really bad shot. So it wasn't his day today. It wasn't his day. But could he have done more? Yes, of course. And so this is a weird one between a 5 and a 6 for me. Um, but if I were to put my finger on it, I'll give him a 6. I'll give him a 6 because he did have some decent link up play moments, but outside of that there was nothing special. He was average today, and that's fine. So the next match is August 13th at home against Leicester City. Leicester City are going to pack and will pack a lot more firepower than Palace. Leicester are basically Palace on steroids. They can possess. They have one of the players that we want, Tielemans. They have multiple attacking options. And when I say multiple, I mean multiple, right? They have a strong back line, a strong midfield. That's 5 points already, isn't it? So we need to come there more than ready to defend our territory, to defend our home, and bring those 3 points to the Emirates. All right. And that's all I have for you. I've been Ruse Vibes. I'm out.